of the Supports Esports podcast. This is the LEC edition. I am your host, William, and with me I have Brock
Hello.
and I have Brian.
Hello.
And it was a pretty decent week. We all went 6-4. I do want to say before that is that Frosk is insane and went 8-2 and won the week. I should have probably highlighted that beforehand. But the rest of us would be yellow because there's a lot of analysts that do predictions on EU, the way more than any of the other ones. So we tied the EU fans. We lost to all the analysts except for the bot. The stats bot went 3-7. So I thought that was actually kind of funny.
Yeah, bot sucks.
The bot. Hopefully it'll get better. If it's an analytics thing, I felt bad for the person who made it, but that's all. That's the original. Literally the first thing I thought was like, man, you made that bot to like do your predictions and stuff through algorithms, and it's 3-7. But anyway, let's get right into the games. Let me pull up the schedule. So the first game was Fnatic versus SK. And that was I'll start out right off the bat. Very interesting to talk about.
That was the most frustrating series ever.
Yeah, the first game of it, SK came out like firing right away. The Corky mid crushed the Galio. It was always known as a counter pick, but it like Fnatic apparently weren't ready for that. Just everything they did. The Rakan with the roams, the Xin Zhao being Xin Zhao right now, and he's just broken to shit, you know. You know how Xin Zhao goes. And just everything about it, they did amazing. And then they paused the game, lag issues, which were confirmed. There was lag, even though it's a little weird, but there was lag, so they had to remake the game. They remake the game, and SK just crushes Fnatic again. Super unexpected. I think we all had SK in our bottom 3 teams of the year. Selfmade was a monster. And like, did you guys have anything else you want to talk? Like, that was those were. I was very happy that SK won the second game. To be honest, I was very happy about that.
Yeah, I thought Pyrian looked really good. I was worried about him, but he
Uh,
looked
I,
solid.
I think SK had possibly the worst play I've ever seen throughout all of League I've watched so far. They had a play where Poppy dies bot lane, and then Lissandra TPs into 3 people, period. TPs into 3 people and dies, while Sejuani then comes in after that, dies to the same 3 people that are there, and then Poppy TPs back into the same 3 people and then dies again.
Yeah, I
What?
think they forgot that you can't cancel
Yeah,
TP.
I think they did. I think that was the first instance of pro play, and the only real instance that I can see that it's evident of a team forgetting that you can't cancel TPs. It has screwed me in my game. It screwed me today, actually, in one of my teleports. I was like, oh no, please cancel. My team got wiped while I was in the middle of the animation. But
Yeah,
That's
those.
You have to have a jungle Trundle now who can just troll you
Mhm.
and cancel your
Yeah.
TP.
Oh, yeah, and he has to be right there with you at all times.
Yep.
It's the only way.
There was also a play in that game where Fnatic was actually starting to push down and start to close the game out a little bit, and then Broxer ruins it all on Lee Sin doing the classic Lee Sin strat.
Lee syndrome.
And, yep, didn't pay attention. The only thing more important about wards on Lee Sin nowadays is checking to see if anyone has Zanya's or Stopwell. And he didn't do it.
And
He jumps in, tries to kick Braum, of all people, and he's got to stop.
hey, Brahms
That
a
was
good
a beautiful Zanya though.
pick.
And then,
It was.
then he dies under tower, and yeah, that's it after that.
They did throw hard. The first game, Fnatic was like completely getting destroyed. I will say in the second game they were getting destroyed early, and then like first 10 minutes or so, and then they came back and they were coming back, and I'm sitting there like, oh no, like I was so hardcore. Even though I picked Fnatic, I was so hardcore rooting for SK because I thought it was like they cheated from their first win, and then just to see the huge throw, and all of a sudden just SK won out of nowhere. It was awesome.
Oh, I had some rage like boiling when I was watching them come back. I was like, "Are you kidding
Yeah,
me?"
I was listening to it at work, and I was just sitting there like I wasn't even like working at that point. I was just sitting there like stressed with like a pen, like just clicking it like angry. I was so mad, but I'm glad they won. Moving on to game number 2, we had Splice versus Excel. Nothing too exciting there. Splice just beat Excel. I don't know, like
News fest.
slowly, because Splice
Yeah, very slowly.
is not a fast team. They weren't a fast team last year. They're not a fast team this year.
This reminded me of like, was it like season 5? I think season 5 league, where it's just you're just beating down. If you're ahead, you're just on top of them, just rolling over slowly, and it was so boring to watch.
I was gonna say I thought you were gonna go with just a slow game, and I was like, you can say season 8, spring season,
Yeah, also,
very slow. But that was more because of wave clear than
yeah.
beating down slowly with control. Which I mean, it works, but it's not. It worked only because it was against Excel, in my opinion. It's not gonna work in this meta, and we've seen multiple times.
Yeah,
You know
and
what's? You go ahead.
I actually was kind of like shocked to see that with their new roster, just because it's not the same team.
Yeah, it's
I
not the same.
think
So I was hoping they
I
would
think
change.
they need to make. I mean, it's 3/5 different. I think they need to make a coaching change because I think that's Peter Dunn just being a slow play type guy.
It's kind of rough to say when they're 1-1 as a outside looking in type playoff team, but I can see what you're saying because it's the same thing that's happening in Korea right now, where
It's the
all
same thing
these
that's happening to RNG.
yeah,
Things won't change.
RNG is 1-2, or no, they're 1-1, but they lost the first game really bad, and it's just like they're not. There are. It's not just RNG either. It's a lot of the old guard of Korea. They're not changing to this meta. The meta of vision control, the nerfs to vision, I think, are significantly hurting Korea, and they just have not adapted to it yet. In these slow teams as well, because I saw a great post on Reddit. I wish I could remember the guy's name. Is that the philosophy of League for the last 3 years or more has been don't go for the 65-35 play, wait for an 85-15 play. And now, if you don't go for the 65-35 play, an 85-15 play never shows up anymore. It's only like a 52-48, I believe he said. Like your odds just go worse and worse as the game goes on, instead of getting better and just waiting for an opponent to make a mistake. You got to create the mistake now.
Yeah.
And teams haven't adapted to it, and some teams have, and that's why you're seeing a lot of different teams win. Splice, even though they won, I don't think they've adapted to it, and I think it's going to cost them in a lot of their games later on.
Yep.
Game number 3, pretty good game between Vitality and Shulka. Shulka 4, and they're. We were all surprised, obviously. We all picked Vitality. I think all the analysts also had Vitality. I didn't realize SO4 was going to I thought losing Nuke Duck would hurt them more than it did, I think.
Yeah.
And
I honestly think Vitality lost in Champs Select.
yeah.
I didn't like the Yasuo pick at all. Like, Yasuo was fun, you know. It's always cool to watch people play Yasuo, but when you're having to build a Sterix gauge and you don't have any components to an Infinity Edge 25 minutes into the game, it's not a good.
Yeah.
Was this the Victor bot lane game for
Uh,
Vitality?
Let me pull it up real quick.
Or was that the next game?
I believe that was the next game, but I'm not positive on that. I don't have the match history up at the moment.
I do. I'll look real quick.
Okay, but yeah, I think we were all expecting big hope or big things from Vitality. Personally, after Worlds, they were awesome. They were one of the original creators of this meta, the chaos, like play your own way. Yamoto Cannon. His speech is like the beginning of this meta and how it's flipped League on its head. So I was really expecting them to come in, but they didn't.
This was the Victor bot lane.
It was the Victor bot lane. Okay, yes.
I just think they need Attila to not play mages.
It's one of those things. It's like double lift.
I think it'll be okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So that one, I expect better from Vitality. I hope they do better this week. I think they had a very disappointing week 1, personally. Not a disappointing week 1 though. Misfits against Rogue. I know it's against Rogue, but wow, that was a beatdown.
I'm a beast at this game.
Yeah, on Draven. Good God, like do not give this man Draven at all. It was
that was tough.
It was disgusting looking. Like I'll talk about that in a little bit, but like my God, he had some disgusting stats, and looked like a whole new person. It was against Rogue though, so we'll see.
Max Lore had some nice Lee Sin plays, and big fan of Lee Sin. So anyone who can play Lee Sin and do some good stuff, fan. I'm a fan.
Yeah, they looked really good. I was wrong.
Yep, not just you though. So we're the EU analysts, but you guys could be right next year or next week, not next year.
I mean,
Yeah.
they did play some. I mean, they played SK, who was okay, and
Rogue,
so.
yeah. So
Yeah.
this week's a big challenge for them, I think. The final game of day one was G2 versus Origin. G2 looked I thought they looked very good against Origin. The Karthus jungle, I just came out of a game with it. It sucks to play against. Excuse me. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. It's so boring. He doesn't.
Did you watch the mic check?
No, I did not.
Oh, I forgot what they were saying. I think they were like, Yasuo or Karthus, who do we ban? And they're like, ban Yasuo because it's caps. And then they lack in Karthus for Yankos, and he just destroyed them.
Yeah, that's frustrating. I believe this was the game where Perks is playing mages on bot lane. He did play Kai'Sa as well, but he played a mage on bot lane, so I was like, oh boy, are they only going to be able to play mages? Turns out it's okay. It worked out fine. They crushed it down there. Caps did good. It was all Wonder did good. All of them did good on G2. It was a very strong performance. In Origin, did not look that strong. I thought Mithy was the weak link of Origin, and I still think Mithy is the weak link of Origin after the first week. I think he got caught out quite a bit.
Mine's actually the opposite. My notes for this game is opposite of what it is later because obviously watch this game first. After this game, I wasn't very impressed. No, not impressed. Impressed not the right word because it's G2. G2 is a good team, obviously. I wasn't impressed this game because honestly, 15 minutes into that game, it still could have been anything because OG wasn't just getting rolled on because Perks on Zoe bot lane, not a good laning phase. It wasn't great, but that just goes to show you G2's just the best, so it doesn't just get to late game. Their team fighting is disgusting, and it was
an A.
They got away. Yeah, they got away this game by doing solo queue because they're just that much better than OG.
Yeah.
The second game wasn't the case though. The second game was way different.
Yeah, I think they had like the ARAM comp they were saying on the broadcast. Like they have Jace, Zoe, Karthus. Like you cannot get near this team. They're just gonna blow you up.
Yep.
And but that was day one. We all went 3-2. No, Brian went 2-3 or 2-3, and me and Brock both went 3-2 on day one. But Brian did turn it around.
Yep.
The first game would again G2 against SO4, and this one they dominated. And SO4 is a good team. I thought SO4 played well, but G2 just simply outmatched them. Like they're just too strong of a team.
Mm-hmm. This is the game I actually wanted to see from G2 because I actually want to see Perks play ADC. I don't want to see Perks play Mage, but obviously Perks is good at Mage. I just want to know how well-rounded he is with ADCs as well. And Karthus needs to be nerfed.
I agree. As of 40 minutes ago, I agree.
Yeah. Karthus jungle needs to not be.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't had to play against it yet.
And then, so the next game was another heavy snooze fest with Rogue versus Excel. We all thought Rogue was better than Excel. Turns out they're not. But I wouldn't necessarily say Excel's very good. I think Rogue's just a little worse than we thought. And maybe Excel's just a little bit better than we thought.
I think we forgot what I said about Excel not having Excel was in. Never mind. I'm wrong. Delete.
Cut. Edit that out.
Excel is the one in England commuting. I was thinking Rogue was, but never mind.
Yeah, and it's just it wasn't great. I don't think it was nothing. They didn't really outperform. I mean, they outperformed Rogue, but they didn't like super outperform them in the sense that I'm like, oh, okay, maybe this team's for real. Maybe they just got unlucky. But I think they really only won because they're going against Rogue, and I don't see them winning many games. Maybe against Rogue, maybe a game against Splice, but I don't see much outside of that.
Hey, to give them some kind of credit, Rogue actually. Well, no, not only that. Rogue actually had a very clean tower dive. It was actually beautiful. the game was so boring I fell asleep, so I couldn't tell you who all was on the team, like what champions were. But I know it was a Vlad. I think it was a Vlad, Sejuani, and
That's a good tower dive team with Vlad and Sejuani.
yeah, like Vlad tanked like 2 shots and then pulled, and Sejuani tanked the shot and went out.
Mm-hmm.
And then I went back to sleep.
And then you went back to sleep. Yep, that's all we need to spend on that game. We all lost that game too.
Yeah.
Next game was Vitality versus Splice. This was a win for Vitality, but it was not as clean as I was hoping it would be.
Terrible.
Yeah,
Honestly,
I think Attila looked terrible.
Yeah, I thought it was just sloppy. It was like it wasn't. I mean, which you're gonna get with Vitality because they go in on anything. Like the second anything hits, they're like, "Oh, let's go fight this guy. Like, let's take this fight. Let's take any fight." But they just need to work a little bit better on their macro. I feel like I think they got out macroed quite a bit by Splice, and I thought that Splice was always in the game, but it felt like they weren't ever gonna win. You know, it's that game where you're down 8K and then you just slowly lose type deal.
Yeah.
Where I felt like that was a lot for Splice, and I never felt a ton of confidence that they maybe like 1 or 2 instances like, hey, Splice can do this, but I always felt Vitality would win, but it just wasn't clean. So like, good job on winning, but it's still, if what I was expecting, I think we were all expecting Vitality to be a top 4 team and competing for the EU championship, and that's not the performance I was looking at, even in a win.
I still have in my power rankings Vitality at 3. I had them at 1.
Mm-hmm.
I think that their problems are easy to fix, and I believe in Yamato Cannon to recognize them and fix them.
Mm-hmm.
But if they have another week where they just lose to a team that they probably should beat, and then who'd they play? The first week, Schalke looked good, but like if they lose a game like that and then they barely beat Splice, they're probably going out of the playoffs for me.
Yeah,
they're against Fnatic and Misfits next week.
What?
Easy stomps for both.
But to me, honestly, for Vitality, because I was a big fan of Jizuke, and I think Jizuke is a very good mid laner. Jizuke looked terrible this week.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Like, I don't know why they put him on Karthus, but that is not a Jizuke.
you can't make plays as you can, you just press R, but you die and then you press R, but you can't make flashy plays like Jizuke.
Yeah, I mean, he got 3-man ganked mid lane and waited till he was at 10 HP and then flashed under tower. Still died because of the Braum.
Hey, that's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to die. You're Karthus.
No, yeah, but you're not supposed to flash back under your tower.
Well, you know.
He had no use of his passive because nobody was around.
Yeah.
And then not only that, I'm assuming he did it just because he was mad, because he just ulted for no reason right after he died. And so now he's got 3-minute ult that's on cooldown for nothing.
Yeah.
But I think Vayne getting 6 items really kind of is what won them that game. Because other than that, it was terrible.
Welcome to
that
late game,
one
Vayne.
weird Xerxes play on Zach where he just kind of pulled them in and then slowly died. That was that was one of the worst plays.
Yeah.
It was not very good.
Yeah. Awful.
Moving on, we had game number 9, which Misfits against SK Gaming. SK Gaming coming off a 2-0 start against Fnatic, essentially. And Misfits really just stomped them as well. They just ran them right over. And that was...
I haven't seen a game like this since bot matches.
It
Lucian
was
got
bad.
2 kills pre 2 minutes. At 3 minutes, he's proxying behind the first tower bot line.
Yeah, that was disgusting. That was unfair. He proxied for like 2 or 3 waves as well, if I remember correctly. It wasn't just like one wave and go. They stayed there.
Yeah, I probably have SK a little too high. I didn't watch this match, admittedly. I didn't realize how bad they got beat.
Yeah, they got stomped pretty hard. I put SK pretty high as well, but I think it's because of. I personally think Misfits is the best team in the league, and that's why I still thought they did good.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't do good. They didn't do good. But I thought that it's like one of those games that you get an excuse, like, okay, you lost, but that you were going against the Golden State Warriors.
Yeah.
It makes sense. The last game to wrap it up is was Fnatic versus Origin. I think everyone except for Brian was kind of thinking Fnatic especially after the 0-2 start. I was kind of worried just because of their attitudes after and like canceling all interviews and stuff. And I'm like, this is some tilt. Like, there's a lot of tilt going on with Fnatic right now, and it showed in the Origin game as well. Mithy did get caught out twice. I noticed again, but. So as long as I thought Origin looked really good, because Fnatic, I don't know what's wrong with them. They have the players, so that's why I moved Origin up so much, because they did beat Fnatic pretty handily. And like again, and even though they're 0-2, and I've dropped Fnatic a lot, I felt like Origin played very well. And as Mithy can stop enting a few times each game, I think they can be a very strong team. I was completely wrong about them.
Yeah, I mean, they have really strong players, Mithy included. So I think Whippo and Nemesis are glaring weaknesses. I think Whippo probably played better knowing he has to beat Soaz for a spot and having Soaz in his ear, but now he has the spot, so I haven't been impressed.
I have not been impressed, and I'm kind of happy. I do not like Whippo personally. Like, I just don't like him at all.
I mean, also they have Soaz the tank player, and then they put Whippo on Scion, and then they put him on. I guess Urgot's not technically. I mean, he is.
He's the second tank you can play right now in top lane.
Yeah.
It's tough for me right now. I can only play Urgot.
He was pretty much on tank duty, and Soaz is over there going 4-2 and 4 on freaking Kennen.
I know. I don't even like Kennen. I don't like Kennen ever. Usually, like I feel like, especially AD. I hate AD Kennen. I think we talked about that last split over summer. I think it's like one of the dumbest picks.
Yeah.
AP Kennen's okay, but I still don't even find AP Kennen that impressive compared to other champions.
AP Kennen is nuts if you teleport in a fight.
Yeah.
True, but I feel like Vlad is just as nuts and a little stronger.
Well, you have to actually do stuff on Vlad. With Kennen, you hit R.
Okay, you're right.
This game for me, I thought was kind of like the other one where I honestly think Fnatic got out-coached by OG's coach because he, as weird as it sounds, he actually dumpstered him a Champions League because he flexed that Lucian so hard that they thought it was going against Galio, so Reckless thought he could pick Jhin. And that was not a good pick. That was not a good pick at all. Because then they put Vayne in against Galio, which Vayne crushes Galio. And Lucian crushes Jhin.
Hey, I want to say, now that we're just talking about Vayne, I listened to Euphoria and Wonder was on, and don't be surprised if you see some Vayne top against a Urgot matchup.
I've been waiting for it.
Well, it can definitely work. Urgot's his Q, you can roll out of his Q pretty easily. His Q just got nerfed, so he does a little more. It costs a little more mana. His W, his shields increase. I definitely felt that one when I was playing Urgot today. I felt that shield increase, the cooldown on it. That was quite frustrating, but I don't think it's bad enough to get.
He was saying you can play it with the Klepto, but he also said you can take what was it, lethal tempo, and you will just melt turrets if you can get them out of lane.
Yeah, Vayne is. If you want to watch an interesting team comp with Vayne, watch game 1 of Gen G in Africa. It saddens me, and I sat back like in my desk at work, and I'm like, they are geniuses. It's a tank, like protect the Vayne comp without a tank, and it just makes me upset because basically, just to summarize super quick before we go on the next thing, is they had Akali and Camille, and they would jump into the backline, and you have to focus them because they do so much damage. So then Vayne gets to free fire every single fight because.
Oh yeah.
So and then they had Morgana and Rakan as well to keep Vayne safe and Rakan for the engage as well. So it's like you don't have a tank, but no one can get to your Vayne because they have to focus on the 2 damage dealers that can jump in, and Akali can obviously shroud, so she's wasting time. But with that, we can move on to our Players of the Week in EU. And what I had for Players of the Week, we can start off with Top. Surprisingly, when I was looking back at the stats for Top, top laners didn't do a whole lot this week. I wanted to pick Soaz, but like I didn't because I just felt like it was also more so like Hansama and all of them in Max Lore really carrying that team. I feel like it's always a negative to me if your stats look good but your teammates did way better type deal. Like you're benefiting from your teammates' play. Not that Soaz did bad, but my top this week was Cabuchard. I thought
Really?
he had a solid KDA 3.8. His CS per minute was 8.3. It was mostly because he had 75% kill participation. I didn't realize that during the games, and he did 26.6% of the team's total damage, which is pretty high for being in top lane. And and I really thought his best game was against Splice. He went 4-1-7, and I thought that was. I thought there wasn't. I was surprised at how low the top laner stats were.
You
But
didn't think Wonder did better?
Wonder was one of my picks, but it was the same situation as Soaz, where it was between Cabochard and Wonder, and I thought Wonder benefited more from his teammates being very successful in destroying their lanes that his stats meant. And he only had like 56% kill participation, if I'm remembering off the top of my head.
Okay.
So it was like he was kind of more benefiting from his teammates winning more so.
He was just solo killing.
Yeah, he was doing fine too. It wasn't like he was doing bad. Going on to the next, I have the jungler of the week would be Maxlor. 22 KDA, 66% kill participation. He was plus 17 CS at 15 minutes against SK, which I thought was amazing. And that was also the game he went 7-0-7 on Camille. When you're not dying as Camille and you're diving in, you're having a good game.
Yeah.
And that was against Selfmade.
Yeah, I know this is your little segment, but I want to give a shout out to Yankos for pressing R.
Again, just like Wonder, Yankos was second place. It was between Yankos and Maxlor, and I didn't pick Yankos because I'm like...
Because you're a Misfits fan. Okay.
No, because Karthus.
Yeah, exactly.
I was like, I think he also had like a 22.0 KDA, and I'm like, he's very close, but I'm like, I feel like the Camille took more skill.
Yeah, a little bit.
A little.
A little bit. Mid lane, I had G2 Caps. I thought Caps had a pretty solid week. Introduction to G2, as he always has a solid week, I should say. But he had a KDA of 13.5. He had kill participation of 67.1. CS per minute was 9. Damage per minute, which was surprising me. He had over 500 damage per minute, which is pretty strong. And he had a 5-2-6 game on Aatrox in the mid lane against Schalke 04, and I thought he just performed very well. the whole G2 squad performed very well. That's why
I think that Schalke game, it's good news for G2 with perks just popping off.
Yeah, on Kai'Sa too.
Oh yeah.
On an ADC as well, just in case the ADCs do come back in the meta, or they're somewhat in the meta right now, but they're not. They're able to be kicked out. Yeah. ADC, of course, here, no surprise, is Hansama. KDA of perfect. 72.6% kill potential, or participation. CS of 9.4 per minute. His CS difference total, not just one game, total at 15, or like average, not total, at 15 minutes was plus 36 on average. So he did that in both games. His DPM was 601.5. His damage percentage was 31.7. And he went 8-0-2 obviously on the Draven against Rogue. Those numbers would put him almost in. We don't do it, but because it's just a lot of work and to be honest, but it'd be like that would put him in the top 3 for player of the week out of all regions personally. I think him, Ning, and maybe or Tarzan and maybe Ning would be like the 3 players that performed so well in week 1 of the season. It was very good for him, especially because he had a lot of doubters, including one on the podcast. And I kind of doubted him as well. I can't say that I was all in on him necessarily. He was like my weak link of the team, and he showed me wrong. Finally, support of the week was Mickey X. 15.5 KDA, which is okay for. I mean, it's good, but like I don't really focus too much on the KDA for supports. 77 kill participation though, that's really nice. 2.5 vision per minute, And his best game was Rakan. He was making a ton of plays against Origin. He went 1-1-17. He was a ton of the original engages on all those. He was one of the big reasons why Caps got fed on Aatrox, because he would Rakan knock them up and use a charm, and then Aatrox would come in and slam with the Q in the sweet spot. And he was a big part of them winning. And he got perks that pop off as well. So those are the players of the week. Brock's, he has the highlight of the week.
Yeah. Keep an eye on Sejuani.
Yeah, all right. Let's pull this up. Pause.
Onto the inhibitor turret. They will secure this in a moment or two.
Oh, I did send this
Brox
to you,
has
didn't I,
caught
bro?
himself onto that siege minion,
sure you
but he
saw. I'll
decides
just
not
watch
to
it.
follow through with the resonating strike. That's a stun! Relentless! The dive forward!
Such a, I'm sure if you've seen this
yeah.
play, you've seen this play by Selfmade. I want to watch it just one more time. It's such a... I'm going to slow it down maybe just a little bit if I can. I don't know why it doesn't... Oh, that's why I didn't click on it, William. Let's slow it down just a half. And turn sound down a little.
Why don't you narrate what's happening?
Well, okay. Then right here, so obviously you're looking to pick off either Akali or Lucian with your ult, or even no, not Lee Sin, because he wasn't very fed this game. So obviously Fnatic knows that as well. So they're using Lee Sin to body block Lucian, and obviously Sion to body block everything because it's Sion. And usually what you do, oops, I was a little too far, as Sejuani, is you want to dash in and to get past that line and then use your ult to try and lock down Lucian. But instead of that, as you can just see, I'll rewind it just a little bit. As you can see right here, instead of dashing forward, he dashes sideways as Broxa dashes to try and block his forward dash, and then immediately gets Reckless with the ult, freezes him. Reckless, for some reason, does not have a QSS against Lissandra and Sejuani, which is very questionable. Point-and-click CC, not having so much point-and-click CC with out of QSS. And, yeah, they won the game off of that. I was very...
Let's also not forget, that was a 4v5.
That was a 4v5 as well, because Poppy was dead.
The problem with this play was Broxa and Lucian. Lucian needs to be on the other side. Lucian shouldn't be where he's at. Broxa shouldn't have to cover for him because Broxa's looking to go all the way to the left side because he wants to be where Ezra.
Yes.
Lucian needs to be by his pike and where Akali's at. His Scion's over there. Him and Brox are the only two people on the other side.
Yeah, I also really think it's a terrible idea, again, to reiterate, you cannot go against Sejuani and Lissandra, especially Lissandra, just because her point-and-click ult without a QSS.
Yeah. Not only that, you have to know...
In Braum!
Yeah. The number one thing for if anyone here is new to League, you don't dodge skill shots by trying to outrun skill shots. You have to dash to the side of the skill shot.
Hey, man.
Reckless literally dashes in a straight line and gets hit by it instead of sideways.
Expecting it. I don't think.
I think it was
Well, he
more
was
like
definitely
he was
expecting it because his timing, like Reckless's timing, was perfect, but he dodged
straight
in
back.
a back line.
Yeah.
Like he dodged straight back.
Yeah.
All he had to do was go to the
I
side.
think he dodged back because his reactions are good because he's a professional League of Legends player, but he just was caught off guard and hit his E.
Yeah, I think that could be as well. I just think it was just an insane play by Selfmade. You never see the Sejuani do that little dash to get past the tanks like that, and it was very awesome to see, especially like you said in a 4v5. And honestly, just looking at this right here, like Pyrian has like 2 mana, so he got his ult off, and that was about it. So that's nearly a 3v5, and they cleaned up and they won the game, and they beat Fnatic for the first upset of EU in the first game. So with that, we can go over our week 1 power rankings. I still have Misfits up top. Brian has moved Misfits up to number 2, and Brock has moved Misfits up to number 1, and I have G2 still at number 2. I think G2 might be the better team, but I had
G2 had better quality wins.
Yes, but I had originally had Misfits as number 1 in my mind, and they couldn't have played any better. So in my mind, you can't really fault them for that. That was my reasoning behind it.
No, yeah, makes sense. I'm just basically talking to Brock.
So like, yeah, I think we all think these are the two best teams. I think by far these two are the best teams in EU. I'd dare say like these are two possibly top 10 teams in the world.
For me,
I don't. You
EU,
watch all of it. I don't. So
for me, EU is kind of like the kind of like LCK and NA, where there's like the 5 teams and then there's everyone else. But for this, there's the 2 teams and then there's everyone else.
Yeah.
I really don't think there's a weak team in EU. I think Rogue and Excel are in Splice, and
Shouldn't
Fnatic
be
right
in
now
EU.
are like but I think if they were in NA, they'd be fine.
I think those bottom three are pretty weak. I think
They are.
they're about as weak as the bottom three in NA. We haven't seen NA yet, so I'd have to actually watch, but that's coming up soon. I'm excited.
Yeah.
My favorite region.
I think if they were to kick Rogue out, I wouldn't even notice.
Hey, they've only played 2 games. Maybe they can come back. They had a bad week.
Maybe.
They had a very
Rogue's a
bad
good
week.
lineup.
They had a very bad week though. Hopefully they can come back though. I don't like seeing them go that bad. I don't like seeing a team go that poor unless it's the Browns because I hate the Browns. Moving on.
Rogue has a really good lineup, so I think they'll.
Yeah.
Be,
I know. I had them as number 7. I think at the beginning of the year. I thought they had a much better lineup than some of the other teams like Excel and SK. Honestly, I thought they were better than both of those, but I was definitely proven wrong at least in week 1. Me and Brock both have SO4 as our third team. I think they impressed enough. I think Fnatic is, or not Fnatic. G2 is nearly unbeatable, and I think they played well enough against Vitality, where I also have Vitality as a top team, and this is kind of almost like you beat Vitality, so you have to usually, after 1 week, you probably have to be ahead of Vitality, and Fnatic dropped so much, so Shulk kind of is like getting this spot by default, if you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
And like, you have Vitality third, even you have Shulk fourth, which
I'm not out on Vitality yet.
Yeah.
But if they lose again pretty bad next week, then they'll probably drop more.
I think I have. You also had them first. I had them third, or I had them fourth. So I only dropped them 1 spot. So we're
Yeah.
kind of thinking the same pattern with Vitality. It's just that our original rankings kind of had them a little higher. So you didn't think they deserved that big of a drop, which I don't think they deserve that big of a drop either.
Yeah.
I have Origin number 4. Brock has Origin number 4. You have Origin number 6, Brian. Is that because of the G2 game?
No, I just didn't. I honestly just didn't think their games were that impressive this week.
I guess.
I thought they were okay. I mean, they played against G2, which stinks. And who else did they play against?
Fnatic.
They played against Fnatic, and Fnatic was terrible. So
I will
I wanna
say,
s-
yeah, because Fnatic had
Yeah.
such a poor first game. I think that ruined the win a little bit.
yeah, I want to see what they can do more. I like Origin. They're probably one of my favorite teams in EU, just because of Deficio and like the what's it called? What's his name? Xpeke connection. I
Mhm.
like them historically. But I thought Shock was better. I think SK beating Fnatic was more hype, so I moved them up probably too much. I could probably switch Origin and SK and be happy with it. I
Got
probably should have.
it. Got it. Brock, you have Fnatic at number 5. You didn't drop them as much as me. Well, you did. You actually did drop them about as much as me and Brian did because we had them number 2 and
Yeah.
3, and you had them number 1. So
Yeah.
let's just talk Fnatic. Very disappointing. Very
It is.
disappointing.
Yeah, it's terrible. It's very disappointing. A lot of red flags went off,
Mhm.
but for me, I know what Reckless can do, and I know Whippo and Broxa is a good, top in jungle.
hmm
Nemesis though, his game 1, against SK,
Game
it took
1
him
or game
20
2?
minutes to get a kill on a column.
So game 2.
Like
Got it.
if it takes you 20 minutes to get a kill while you're playing a collie,
It's not good.
that's not good.
Not good.
Talking about
That's not good.
Nemesis. I zoned out. Is this Nemesis talk?
Yes.
No, this is Fnatic against SK.
Yeah.
I mean against SK, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. If you're a collie, you should honestly get a kill once you get Sheen.
Yeah.
Like once you get Sheen in level 6, you should be able to kill whoever you're laying.
Sheen or Hextech?
Sheen.
Okay.
Because you're doing all your damage through your shroud when you're casting your abilities and your autos go off.
Got it.
Yeah, because you're getting the extra damage off that, which your passive procs your Sheen.
Does Sheen build
And
into Hextech Gunblade?
yeah,
Oh,
no, Sheen builds into Lichbane.
Lichbane. Got it. Okay.
Yeah. Um, but yeah, so like you get a Sheen, then build your Gunblade, which is what I used to do. Obviously, not a pro player. Um, but yeah, it wasn't good. But I have faith in Reckless. I think Reckless is a very good AD.
I'm worried in the sense that I think Reckless is a very good ADC. I don't know if he's a very good ADC in this meta. I think he's one of the best team fighting ADCs in the world. Late
Yeah.
game team fighting ADCs, I should say. That's why he plays Tristana and Sivir. That's what he's known for.
Yeah.
Sivir's played quite a bit right now, but that's mostly for her wave clear and her safety with her shield or her spell shield. But
Mhm.
Tristana is irrelevant. But I feel like that isn't how games go anymore, unless you're playing Splice, where I'm worried in the sense that he's not going to be able to adapt to the mid game fighting. Like he didn't. He benched himself last split
Yeah.
for most
That's
of
what
the
I was
split.
just about to
That was
say.
because of Mage's bot.
That was
lane.
because of Mage's bot lane, which is true, and you can play ADCs are in a much better position they are now than they were before. But it worries me in the sense that his early game he's always sacrifices his early game for late game. You can no longer
he
sacrifice
also-
early game because of turret plating.
He also can no longer sub himself out because they don't have the two top laners
Yes.
to play mages.
Yes. So he's gonna have to stick with it, and I'm worried about it, and I'm really worried because they seemed extremely tilted after both games. Like, and that's
Also,
attitude's not a
I-
good thing. Like, or
I
it's a
just
big
don't
thing.
think I don't think he's that good anymore. I mean, I think he took a back seat with Caps, kind of took the foot off the gas. He was always the KDA player, they say, like a really safe player, and that's just not the meta, like you said. I just don't think Fnatic's gonna do much this split, and if they do, it'll be Nemesis living up to the hype, which he hasn't, or Bwipo just becoming godlike, or Broxa becoming godlike. I don't know.
Yeah,
Someone has to step up. I don't think it's Reckless.
I don't want to trash Nemesis quite yet. I was the one saying like, do not trust Nemesis as much as people are like anointing him the next mid lane king because he's just a rookie from EU. But he's still his first week. He needs to adapt. He can still turn the season around. It's only 1 week. We have 9. It says 10 on there because I didn't change it. But we have 9 weeks to turn around, and I think he could turn around. Broxa, my bet would be either Hylissang or Broxa being able to turn the season around. Hylissang by making picks on Pike, but Tom Kench is getting nerfed with the ult. Like that's really bad for Hylissang. Like you can no longer use the ult if your teammate isn't. If you are in combat, you can no longer take Tom Kench ult. This is the new nerf to him.
Wow.
And it's to stop the double devour in teams fights, which is fair. It's fair, but I don't see Whippo is a lot of red flag. Like since he called Licorice trash and was like trashing on NA after they stomped us, he has not had a single positive game yet. On stage, I should say. Obviously, I'm assuming he's had positive games in his solo queue games and stuff in scrims, but on stage he got destroyed against the Shy, which to his defense, it's the Shy that happens. It's like before I was saying you just go with it because it's the Shy, but even in EU, both games he got destroyed as well to start the season, and he, like I said, he hasn't had a single positive game since then. So, like you said, it might be he took his foot off the gas a bit because he doesn't have to fight for his position anymore, and
Maybe.
we'll see though. We'll see.
We'll never know because we can't call him up and ask.
Yeah, exactly. We don't have the connections. Anyway, and I don't know if you guys want to talk much about Splice, Excel, Rogue. They're bottom 3 teams, I think. I think we all think they're pretty bottom team.
Yeah.
Yeah, Splice is probably the most boring team ever, but they're better than Excel and Rogue. That's what I have to say.
That's exactly what I think.
Which stinks because I think Rogue has a really good lineup. I really want them to do well.
I do too. Like I said, I put them number 7. I thought I'm just missing the playoffs, like the best of the teams missing playoffs. But they're gonna have to show me more.
Yeah, I think Excel having 2 like AD carries that I don't even know who the heck they are, and Cadril getting to play jungle, his main role after he didn't last year, and then just being awful. I thought he had a really bad performance this week, but
Yeah.
who knows?
Who knows?
I mean,
It's only week one.
I'd say that he popped off on Kazakh's versus Rogue, but it was versus Rogue.
Yeah, exactly.
But his first game,
Was
I thought
really rough.
Yeah, it was bad.
All right, with that, we'll move on quickly to our week 2 predictions. First game of the week. I was gonna say of the split, but that would not have been true. Is Fnatic versus Vitality. It's a tough, very important game for both teams to come out and show. Like Vitality, like we said, did not look good against Splice, but they did win. But that wasn't an impressive win. They lost to SO4, so they need this win against Fnatic. And on the other end, Fnatic needs this win badly. They're 0-2. And the memes are they're 0-3 because they would have lost the first game as well. Like they have not looked good in any of the games they've played so far. But I have Vitality. I'm really worried about that tilt. That tilt that I've seen about them canceling interviews. They just looked flat out tilted, pretty much. And I think that's a number one thing. They have to. Hopefully, they come into this week with a clear mind. Like ignore that last week, just throw it away, and like focus on what you can do. But I don't necessarily see that as with previous situations with Fnatic, especially in Worlds last year. They really got tilted after like the first game and completely collapsed. And I'm wondering if that's going to linger on in the season. So I have Vitality winning the first game, and Fnatic going 0-3.
Mm-hmm. Brock,
I've got Fnatic winning.
of course he does.
Yeah.
I have Vitality winning.
Why do you have Fnatic winning, Brock?
Because based off of Vitality's last game, it's a tough one. Because for me, Fnatic could absolutely just, get shit on this whole season. Which, if they play like they have been, they will.
Mm-hmm.
But same with Vitality. If Vitality doesn't play any better, their season's not going to look any better either.
I agree with that.
So me, I don't know why they're not putting Jizuke on hyphy picks. They gave him the Yasuo, but
That's pretty hyphy.
but you just don't play Yasuo right now. People have been saying forever Yasuo is not very viable in pro play unless you're capped, and Jizuke is not capped.
Yeah, that's true. That is true.
But yeah, I think Fnatic's going to go further than Vitality. As a personal pick, obviously, this is all of our opinions.
Mm-hmm.
We don't know anything the other person doesn't know. So yeah, I just have Vitality. I mean, Fnatic going over Vitality.
All right. I think that's pretty solid. I think this is honestly, when I was picking Vitality, if I had to put stats, it would be like 55-45. So it's a toss-up game, I really think so. And it's a very, like I said, it's a very important game. It's almost make or break for the season, I kind of think, for this early start.
Oh, for sure. For either one of these teams. Both of these teams have to win. This is very important.
I have Vitality because, like you're saying, I think Jizuke got put on Karthus duty and he played Yasuo, who's not very good. I think they're going to win through mid lane. I think Jizuke is going to take over the game. We're going to put him on a comfort pick maybe or something. I don't know. I haven't really seen him play Lissandra much, but I think he's going to dumpster Nemesis, and I think they're going to win through mid.
Yeah, they're going to have to bully Nemesis, and they're going to have Broxa. If you're on Fnatic side, you're going to have to Broxa play closer to mid than what he was supposed to do.
Mm-hmm. Which I think they definitely can, because Jizuke is definitely better than Nemesis so far. Based off of Jizuke last season, I haven't seen much this season, but they've just been putting on terrible picks.
Yeah, I think Attila and Jack Troll can be better than Reckless and Hylissang. I just think Attila needs to not play a mage, and maybe not play Vayne. Let's put him on the Kaisa. I want to see him play Kaisa.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, so game number 2 is Splice versus Rogue. I mean, I think Splice will win this just because of how poor Rogue performed. Like, I wouldn't be out of the question if Rogue won. I give Rogue a pass against Misfits. I still cannot give him a pass against Excel. I think Excel has very weak players, and to get beaten like that pretty handedly, like, that's not a good look. I hope I hope I'm wrong and Rogue is able to win this because they're more entertaining, I think, to watch than Splice. I can't really think of a more boring team at the moment to watch than Splice. But just off of just analytics alone, I think Splice wins this game until I see something from Rogue because I saw literally nothing.
Yeah.
What do you guys think? You guys both have Splice?
I have Rogue.
Ooh,
Yeah, I have Rogue as well.
look at you guys.
Yeah.
I have Rogue probably for the same reason Brian does. I think Rogue's lineup is much better.
Oh,
So
yeah.
they have to find a way to bring this lineup to actually shine like they should. Because Rogue's lineup is very nutty. It is a very good.
If I gave you Rogue's lineup from 2 years ago and said this is a Unicorns of Love lineup and they are a playoff team, you'd be like, okay, with the exact players they have. You'd be like, yeah, they're not probably top 3, but they're a solid contender to be a dark horse or something.
Yeah. Yeah, I
I
mean,
think they have a lot of talent.
it's originally what I thought. I just losing to Excel that bad really works.
This will be probably my last week I give them the benefit of the doubt,
Yeah.
Got
and
it.
then they'll have to prove themselves.
Game number 3, we have G2 versus Excel. That
So game number 4.
All right. Yeah. I don't even know what to say.
I mean, it should be a stomp. They just
Gonna be the easy
they-
clap.
Excel looked better in week 1 than what I was expecting them to because they beat Rogue, but
But they beat Rogue.
they beat Rogue.
Yeah,
This should be a very easy game.
I believe so.
Number 4, we have SK Gaming vs Shulka, and this is gonna be my upset. I think I picked SK Gaming to win this, even though I have Shulka number 3 right now in my power rankings. I really liked Selfmade in against Fnatic, and I think Misfits are just on a warpath right now. So that it's almost like I want to throw any game that Misfits played against you away. Like, I mean, you can look at it, but it's not going to help you much. I think with Selfmade there, I think he can really get his lanes ahead and actually pressure Shulka a little more. I mean, they were pressured by G2 pretty badly after the 15-minute mark, and they didn't look very good against it, and they look good against Vitality, but then Vitality struggled against Splice. So I think this game is much closer than I think a lot of people will think it is. I said think a lot in that sense. But I think SK is going to upset Shulka.
They're gonna upset.
They're going to upset. Yep, exactly.
I've got Shulka winning because of upset.
It's
So
a good pick.
Yeah. So I'm glad we said upset that many times. We made the full circle.
I also have SK win.
Nice.
I like it.
Get on the hype train, Brian. I almost said Brock.
Yeah,
I
I
heard
can
that.
tell. But I believe in Pyrian. I believe in Phoenix One Pyrian, SKT Pyrian. So I believe in him and Selfmade. I think Warlib is also very solid. So
I think they're a pretty solid team.
We're
the
gonna
only
see that.
the only worry I have about Selfmade is I think Memento. You could argue upset, but I think Memento is probably the best player on Schalke.
Yeah, he had a very good Olaf game in week 1 as well.
Oh yeah, and so if he can shut down Selfmade, I think they have no chance.
That's a good point.
But yeah.
But-
So now I kind of want to pick Schalke.
Don't do that.
No, we're
Kinda
gonna see
talk about
that.
Selfmade.
We're gonna see a
Am I
spicy
gonna-
Azir pick from Period.
No.
I want to simply Corky again.
Yeah,
Jeez.
his corky popped off. Game number 5 of the last game of day 1 is Origin versus Misfits. I think this is one of the best games of. You can maybe argue Fnatic Vitality, but I think maybe Misfits Origin as well. Best game because two of the other 3 are absolutely no. But Origin
Yeah,
versus.
they gave G2 a break this
Oh
week.
yeah. JT doesn't even have to show up and they'll win. But I think Misfits are going to beat Origin. I've liked a lot what I saw of Origin, but Misfits look like so dominant in their first games. This is a very big test for them because their first 2 games were against weaker opponents with Rogue and SK Gaming. Now that they're going against Origin as well as Vitality, I believe, is their final game. That those are better opponents. They're not top of the line like a G2 per se, but it's strong enough that if you perform just as well against them, you're setting yourself apart, like, and you're confirming that you are way ahead of those teams, and that only G2 can match you.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I'm gonna jump in because that's exactly what I think. I picked Misfits because if they lose to Origin, I'm going back to they had very weak teams to play against
Hmm.
last week,
That's fair.
and they had Han Sama on his one trick. So I'll go Misfits, but if Origin wins, I'm probably dropping Misfits
Got it. That's
to
fair.
like 4.
That's fair.
Yeah, I'm also going with Misfits. I think this is going to be the best game of the day. I think Fnatic Vitality is the most important game of the
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Yeah. I'd agree with that.
I think that will be a good dumpster fire game.
Oh, it's going to be terrible. If you want to watch your solo queue games without having to worry about LP, watch this game.
That's or watch LMS.
You know, watch
That's
LMS.
why I love watching LMS. It's like I can relate to this. They're just better mechanically than me by a lot, but they're like
Yep.
almost the same macro. It feels like at
Yeah, the
times.
macro's the exact same.
It really does feel like it at times.
You're making me want to like watch LMS.
It is so much
but
fun, man. Go watch game 2 of Dragon Gate Flash Wolves today. It was really fun.
If you link it to me, I'll watch it when I have free time.
All right, I will. After this, week number 2, we had Fnatic vs Shulka, and again, very important game for Fnatic. I don't think it's as important for Shulka as it was for Vitality, but it's still very important because they're 1-1, and we have them being me and Brian have them being upset against SK. So actually, let me rephrase that. This would be very important for Shulka because they're going to be 1-2 hopefully by the end of this if my picks are right. So again, it's deja vu all over again. Very important game for both teams. In the tilt, man, it's all about the tilt for me. Seeing them tilted like that, I've lost all faith in Fnatic, honestly. Until I see something, I've lost complete faith in them to recover. Unless they were playing like Excel or Rogue, then I obviously would have picked or Splice. Those were like the only 3 teams that I would have felt like they could still win against, even while tilted. So I
Yeah.
have SO4.
Hmm. Yeah. As someone who strives himself on making people be so tilted they forget how to play League of Legends, I know what tilt can do, and I've also got going in.
SO4.
Yep.
Nice. Brian,
I also have SO4.
look at that. So Brian, you and me are saying Fnatic's going 0-4 by the end of
Yeah.
week 2.
Oh
If
yeah,
you would
I
have
had
told
it-
me that last week, I would have been like, no.
Yeah. I think it's bad news for Fnatic. I think, well, just looking back, let's see, who'd they play last week? They played SK, that
Yes.
should have been a win.
Mm-hmm.
I know.
And then they played OG.
Origin.
That probably should have been a win if it's Fnatic from Worlds.
Yeah, World's
But
finalist.
yeah, it's kind of shocking. It's a really bad Worlds hangover.
And-
So
in
they could
Fin-
easily go 2-2, but I just don't see it happening with what happened last year or last week.
Mhm. In Fnatic's defense, there's a something was in the water in Korea because all those teams suck outside of IG. The winners didn't have to drink that water apparently, but
Yeah.
every other team, Gen G, well they had terrible worlds, but they're 0-5 now, or yeah, 0-3,
Really.
0-3, yeah, they're 1-6 in games.
If you
played.
want to know all about Korea, please watch our YouTube videos.
Mhm.
I am not on them, so if you hate me, it'll be a great video.
But like Gen G's doing bad. KT is 0-3 as well. Afrika is 1-2. Their only win is against Gen G. All of the Korean teams are doing bad. RNG is doing bad. Fnatic is doing bad. Like the only teams that are doing good are IG and G2. Really, we haven't seen Cloud9 yet. But outside of those two, no one else is doing good right now that went to Worlds, which is weird to me because I feel like the meta had never changed. We didn't have a big preseason change like we usually do. So this is one of the first times where the meta from Worlds is kind of similar to the meta Season 9.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I think the big preseason change is going to be positional ranked for NA in Korea.
Yeah, and it's also this patch coming out is a pretty big patch. If you 9.2, I recommend reading it. There's a lot changing. A lot of nerfs.
Think I did, but I don't remember off the top of my head.
All right, move on to game number 7, and let's move on to game number 8 because we don't need to talk about. Oh no, my bad. Whoopsies.
Huh?
It's game number 8. We don't need to talk.
Game number 8, we don't need to talk. We're gonna move on right past game number 8, but we will talk about game number 7. Game number 7 was Splice and Origin. I think Origin wins this one. We've talked about it before. We do not think. All three of us do not think Splice is very good.
This is SK versus XL.
Is Google messing? Oh, no, I'm just reading Google wrong. So I'm just an idiot.
I'm looking. I'm like, wait, what?
I was just reading my my schedule here wrong. In my defense, they change it for this when the games end. They flip the schedule around, so it mixes me up a little bit. Anyway, let's talk about SK and Excel. I think SK will win this game. I didn't see enough from Excel. I saw more than I expected, but it wasn't enough just because the only thing that was good was against Rogue.
Yep.
And
I don't think we need to talk much about this one. I think SK will have a nice little pad to their stats if they can't get it done against SO4.
Yeah.
They'll have the 2-2.
Though they should at least come out of this week 2-2. Brock?
I've got SK
William,
winning.
please capitalize the K in your SK because it's frustrating me.
There you go. All right, moving on. Right past game 8, we do not need to talk about it. I'm assuming all of you had G2.
Yeah, I'm not that ballsy.
Yeah.
So game number 9 is Origin versus Splice. Now we can talk about this. I think Origin is stronger than Splice. I don't think any of us think, again, Splice is they're the best of the worst type deal. And they haven't adapted to the meta and I don't see them adapting to the meta in a week. And I think that's not going to work well to win against any teams outside of teams that you're just over the top more talented than. And they're not over the top more talented than a lot of the teams.
Yeah.
You can argue that they're not even more talented than Rogue. Like, easily, I think.
Mhm.
So, really, Excel is going to be, some of their only wins. Down the line.
To me, Origin had a good early game against G2. And
They did.
then G2 just shows that, they're G2. And this is their region, aside from Misfits. But I think Origin is going to win that.
Brian?
Yeah. I got OG. They beat the world semifinal or world runner-ups. So
There you go. And let's wrap it up quickly with the final game of the week for EU is Misfits versus Vitality. Another very good game, very important for me personally for Misfits. If they go in this week and beat Vitality as well, they will definitely solidify themselves as the best team, or first or second best, because until they play G2, I don't think we'll really be able to decide who's the best team there between the two of them. And I think they will. I'm very impressed with their first week, and if they do something just like that, I'll be very happy about my first place pick.
We got to week 5 till G2 plays against Misfits.
Ooh, really? Yeah, that's the end of the
yeah,
week.
there's actually a bet. I know I always reference other podcasts, but Wonder bet the analysts that if he goes 9-0 on the first half of the split, the analysts have to apologize to him, make a video and publish it. And if he loses, pretty much they're saying if you lose to Misfits, then he has to make a video apologizing to Frosk and Dracos.
That's really funny.
Yeah.
So, Brock, you have Misfits, I'm assuming?
Yes.
And Brian?
I have Misfits also.
Ooh,
I'm trusting Misfits.
Look at that. Look at it. It bolded it for you. I love how it does that for some reason.
Yes. Because it's a bold prediction.
It's not that bold.
It's not that
I think it's because you hit Control B or something.
I don't know. It might be something with the font in certain sections.
I don't know.
Anyway, those are our picks for the week. We're pretty similar on a lot, but we do have some differences. We are actually 100% similar on day 2, though. I just looked.
Oh, yeah, we are.
Yeah, so we're only different on 3 games. But it started out strong. It was three of the first 4 we were different. I'm like, man, we're really different now. Not anymore. But we all went 6-4 last week. Hopefully we can be as good as Frost and go 8-2 in a week. That'd be nice.
Well,
But
we only have one difference.
we do.
And you picked Splice. and I
Oh.
picked Rogue, I guess.
Ugh,
So.
that's a rough game. So, woo.
Yeah. Whoever wakes up first, don't forget to message the other one. So
All right, so you can follow. That should be all for our podcast. You can follow us on YouTube at KingLinkFan or Twitch at twitch.tv/KingLinkFan. Or
We
you
have a
can
Twitter
follow us
somewhere.
on Twitter at Support Esports, which we should be starting to tweet about now, because about the EU probably we'll probably be able to live tweet some EU and some NA. It's kind of hard for us to live tweet China and LCK and LMS because they start at 3 and 4 a.m. So that's not fun. We all have jobs, sadly, and so we can't do that one. But we'll do some live tweeting about NA and EU probably. At least EU on Saturday. EU also starts, since we are in America, it starts at noon, so we are also all working usually by that time. But anyway, I want to thank Brock and Brian. Thank you guys for coming again. And that's the end of
You're
the
welcome.
second week of podcasts, for at least for now, because next time we'll be doing a podcast will be Sunday. We do all of our podcasts Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday at 10 p.m., by the way, for all the major regions. And I thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you later.
bye bye.